If you
Yes.
use something like cards, I think cards to that's div cards
Okay.
ID.
Okay. You mean cards
Yeah.
like, is it this kind of cards? Let me not miss it again. Oh, like that time that they say list, I was thinking is leaf. Is it like this? You mean this?
Yeah. If you make
No problem. No.
if you make ID, then you then bring it down and make the cards separately. I think you can then input images in each of those cards.
Okay.
You already know that with the cards they are now encapsulated in the card ID.
But you're confusing us, so I beg.
No verse abeg, no verse. I just
See
say
your
make
people grammar,
I just say
encapsulate.
make
Just
I add abeg.
I beg, calm down, I beg.
Referee no dey here. Oh. Referee no dey here. Oh.
Chidima is coming you now.
So, so if left to me, if you ask me what is going to be the best, just like I say, it's all based on choice. All right. Now, to me, I feel the best, that card is very very good. Oh, you understand? Very very good. But I feel cards is more like in a situation where you are having a container, a bigger container, and then you're having a picture inside of the container. Maybe you want to mix picture, maybe picture we cover most area of the container, and then you are now having a write up under. So in that case, you can actually introduce a card. But if you look at what we are having here, it's just like an icon. All right. So I feel using a card for an icon. Well, let's still do it. If you are not okay with cards, build your own. As you are building, you can build your own and use another thing. So let's try the card and see. But do you have a tag called card at all, or is it car? Me, I no see any. Or abi is
No,
it
there's
cap?
no Takom card.
Ah, to that
I
means
think you use. I think you use. I don't know. It's going to be a. I don't know. It's going to be a class now. This is just a proof that our instructor, God have mercy.
no. Leave instructor
Mercy,
alone.
mercy,
Oh.
mercy.
Leave instructor alone. See, we never even do anything. See as see time we don't go. So it's not his fault. Himself dey try cover up. So now let's use ID, right? To me, I feel in this case the best thing to use is div. Sorry, I say ID. Make una no vex. And then this div now, right? Where this thing dey? So this div will now serve as a container for these two icons. Obviously, the icons are going to be in form of image, right? So inside of this container now, the div container, we are going to have image, the first image, and then we are going to have the second image. So let me even tell you now, as a programmer or software engineer, start looking for a way to start copying. So you see that I needed two images. So I just typed one, and then the other one just use shift, is it control shift, alt shift, right? Alt shift down is going to copy whatsoever where, like this line now, once you are on a particular line and you press alt shift and you press your down key, it's going to copy it or duplicate it. Una no vex, I no sabi English. So now if you look at what we have now, what we just did here was that we have successfully mapped this entire thing here that we have here. So you agree with me that what we have done is that we have successfully mapped out what we have here, this our navigation, successfully. But there are still obviously like the logo, these icons, we are yet to bring them in, which of course we will still do that. But if you agree with me, at least the skeleton of this see me, I wanted to say tags bar, Mona Noves, the skeleton of this navigation bar, you see that we have successfully structured it. So I don't know if whether there's any question. That una fine well for this set to see fine picture up and down. So any question?
We
Una dey
can
make
go
me fear.
ahead.
Oh,
We
this why
can go
nobody
ahead.
dey ask
No
question.
question.
May no be say though, say you just dey there dey talk your own.
Can you go back to that page, that web page?
Is it this one? Is it this or the main one? That's this one. Which
Yes,
one?
this one. Yes, this one. This one.
Okay, okay. So you wanted to ask a question?
Yes, I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Okay, please. Oh,
Yes.
and now this is a navigation. They're
Yes.
inside navigation.
Yes.
Now, this template, the template document and support.
Okay.
Why do you call them? You just call them write up, and you call this get started a button. It's not still clicking to something.
Beautiful. Now, just like I said, it depends on how you want to structure it. If I like if you look at yesterday's class, right? This gets started. In fact, we combine everything here as one. You understand? Even the get started itself, we used just normal write up or normal list for it before we now later styled it to look like a button like this. So everything still depends on what you want or how you want it to be. So that's the beauty of programming. There's no single way of doing something. So you can see decide to say, this might get started though. I don't want it to be a button. I don't want to even see button inside my code at all. So I just want to see text. So you can still give it a text and then play around with it. Okay. Anybody wants to ask a question? Okay, go on, Amarachi.
Hi. So you mentioned that the alt and down key
Yes.
does this thing now. It duplicates a line. It did not do that on my own code though.
Are you serious?
Instead,
What
it
did you?
just brought down the code. Yes, I am.
Okay. Oh, your alt and shift brought down the code. Because I know that normally,
Is it shift you said? I be down arrow key.
no,
It's
if
Alt
you
and Shift,
if
Alt Shift, and the down arrow key.
yes, so that normal alt, it will
Okay,
just move
let
the
me
code.
try it.
Yeah.
Ah,
Okay, it
first
just
wife. Now your
worked.
voice be
Thank
that.
It worked, right?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, you're welcome. Nice. So any other question before we move on? Okay. So now we have just been coding. We don't even know whether what we have done is even working or not. So let's go ahead and test it. So let's go live and see. So you can see, obviously we have not added our logo and icon. So let's even do that. I think that was what I sent on the group yesterday. That I know some people were like, what is this one for? So I'll just go and then let me see. Okay, this, so it's on the group. In case you are following on your computer, you can just go and download it. I think I sent it yesterday. You can go and download it from the group. So I'm just coming. Let me hey, what is this thing? So HTML class, right? I just remembered I removed it, but no wahala. So just let me stop sharing my screen so that you not read my WhatsApp messages. I'm coming. Somebody is laughing. Before somebody will say, I was sharing the group chat in public, do not sue me in court. So but at least we are now understanding what is going on. So save, oh no, save to download. So this is it. I'll just indicate in case anybody wants to download, so that it's going to take the person straight to that place. Okay. All right. So hope you are seeing my screen now. I believe you are seeing my screen now. So I think we have this one, this and this. Yes, these are the three things. So I'll just copy them and then we'll head to our code. Good. So now I'm going to paste it here because I've copied it already. So I'll just come here and then paste all three images. So for the logo, of course, this is the one for the logo. So in this source, I'm going to put my logo. So now there are two ways, right? You can actually reference a file inside your HTML or even JavaScript file. Either you use the absolute part or you use the relative part. Now for absolute part, right, this is what absolute part looks like. So let me show you. So if I say pwd, that's print working directory, what it's going to do is that it will start printing right from the root directory. So that's why you see here is first showing users, and inside users is showing Bene, and inside Bene is showing desktop, is showing FBN tech, and then HTML CSS. So this is how an absolute part looks like. It will always reference the first initial folder. Then there's another thing called the relative part. Now what is the relative part? The relative part is more like from the position you are currently. You understand? So from the position you are currently, you can either move backwards or you can move forward. You understand? Why absolute part is going to be from the root itself. So since it is from the root itself, right, you always go from the root to wheresoever you want to go. It's more like from 0 to anywhere you want to go. But relative is like you are there. Okay, let's say for instance you are on 5. So if you want to reference anything, you always start from that position 5. But absolute part is you are on 5. But if you want to reference anything, you go and start referencing from 0 itself. So that is the difference between the two. So it's always advisable to always make use of a relative part. It's always advisable. So we'll come here for the next one. What is even the next one, sir? Okay, we have the globe icon first, then the search icon. So for the globe icon, we'll put dot slash, right, and then globe. Then for the last one, which is the search icon, we'll do dot slash, then our search. Now for alt, right, for this one we'll put logo. Now can somebody help us? We're like, why must we put alt text? Is it necessary? Is it by force? If it's by force, why? If it's not by force, why? So can somebody help us?
So I think that alt text is like an alternative name to call a text.
Okay. Nice.
For example, if the image name is image.png
Yes.
on your root or whatsoever,
Yes.
it shouldn't be image.png on
Okay.
your website.
Okay.
You should just give it an alternative name.
Okay. Awesome. I love that. So to add to what she just said, it's always good to put an alt text. Reason being that most especially for those that make use of screen readers, right? You agree with me that there are some people that instead of reading through the website, what they just use is that they use an audio or a screen reader to do that for them, probably to save time, or maybe those that are partially blind and they can't see very well, they do that too. So as such, once the screen reader gets to that image, obviously, although I don't know if HTML has improved to a point where, you know, since AI now is everywhere, to use AI to know, to analyze the image and then tell you what that image is. So this alt will now help it to now screen read that okay, what is here is actually an image of a globe, what is here is actually an image of a search, and what is here is actually the logo. You understand? So that is why it's good. Whether you put the alt text or not, it will still work. Your code will run perfectly, but it's always advisable to make use of it. So let's check what we have, right? Now you can see we now have our logo, we have our search icon, we have our globe and search icon. But if we come back to what we want to do, you can see that the logo is like eating up more space. The two icons too are taking up almost all the space, right? Okay, somebody wants to say something. Wait, are you guys seeing my screen?
Hello, good evening. Sorry,
It's
it's
okay.
Sunday.
Okay.
See, please, is anyone recording the call in case anybody can't join so you can send the recording to them?
Yeah, we are recording, but unfortunately we did not start from beginning. There's
Oh,
some
okay,
things
okay,
we
okay.
said before we started recording, but I think it's all good.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, boss. All right. So any other question? Okay. So now we are done with our HTML part, the text part, button part. So what is left for us now is to now okay, before we even go to CSS, let's make sure our logo and these other two icons, at least they are the same size, almost the same size with what we are having here, because as it stands now they are occupying the whole space, so we don't want that. So now who can help us if we want to adjust that? What are we going to touch in the logo, in the two icons? What are we going to touch? Like which attribute? I believe we all know what an attribute is. Ah,
Okay, you mean like
Yes.
to reduce that?
yes, to reduce it.
You'll be adding width and height now.
Okay, nice. So it means we'll be adding a width as an attribute, right? And also a height. So width, let's say from the look of the logo looks bigger, right? It looks like long, should I say longer? Is it where the width is wider than the height? So it means we have to give it more width than height, right? So let's see. Now for width, let's say let's first try 50 and see. Then for height, let's give it maybe 30. Let's see if that will do justice to it. Okay, so I think it's a bit fair, but the width is looking so I think now we should be more perfect. Yes, I think it's okay, right? You all agree with me that it's a bit fair, or should I increase it? Okay, nobody is saying anything, so that's more like indirectly saying leave it. So why for the two globe, for the globe and the search icon, let's say let's give it a width of, let's try 30 by 30. Now the reason why we are giving it same width and height is because if you look at the icons the way they are, you find out that they are more like squared in shape. So squared simply means same height and same width. All right, so let's first try 30 by 30 and see if it's going to work. Let's see. Okay, so I think to me it's still looking big. Okay, no wonder it's because of I'm zoomed in. Yeah, but no problem, let me still zoom so that everybody can see my screen. So I think it's okay, or should we reduce it? Let's give it 20 or 25. So 25 for this, and then 25 for this. Also this one we have 25 for this, and then 25 for this. All right, so I think let's manage it that way. So we now have everything intact. That's in the aspect of HTML. We have our logo, we have the three text, we have the button, and then we have the two icons, right? So what is left for us now is to style it. Now that is where CSS comes in. So we all know how to create our CSS file. So we'll create a new file, we'll call it style.css. all right, and then before we even start writing anything, first of all let's go and link the CSS file with our HTML. And to link a CSS to an HTML, you have to come and do it in the head tag. So in the head tag, it can be anywhere, here, either here, anywhere, either after this meta, before meta, after title, before title, is still okay. So I'm going to do it just before title. So, and to link it, you use the word link, and then you select link CSS. So by linking CSS, of course, this the attributes that you have to specify, because it's not only CSS you can actually link. There are other things you can link as well. All right. Then for your href is more like the location of the CSS file. So just like I said, you can always use a relative path. All right. So if we do dot slash, we are more like saying in this location, and obviously the style.css is also in this particular location we are in now. So we'll look for style.css. All right. Now, before we move forward, if you guys remember yesterday, was it yesterday or day before yesterday, I can't remember at this point, where the man did something like this, right? And then he defined margin and then give it a margin of 0, right? Something like this. So I don't know, can anybody remember why the man did it? Me, I can't remember, I've forgotten. Me too, I'm learning.
Do you mean the star he declared at first?
Yes, the star that he declared. And why did he now put margin 0 inside of the star that he declared?
Okay, I think the star is just for global, right? That means that it's going to affect everything, right? So it's more like having a unique, uniform um, margin or whatever you declare there for all your project or your body or something like that. That's how
Okay,
I understand it.
okay, beautiful. In fact, that's just it, right? So you know, when it comes to HTML, right, different browsers have their own default value. Different browsers have different influence on how the HTML file should look like by default. Now let me take away this. I'm going to take this style off, and then let's go back to our page, and then let's inspect. I just want us to see something. All right. So now I'll select this, and then I'll come to this place. I'll click on it. Now I want us to focus on this part that says style. That's what I want us to focus on. All right. Now just look at this. Let me select this. So no, this one is not. So let's see this. Now look at this thing. Look at this, what we have here. You agree with me that this is our unordered list, right? These are unordered list, but we have not styled it, or have we? We have not styled our unordered list. We just put unordered list there and left it. We did not style it. But you can see that by default our browser is giving it a margin. Look at the margin is giving it: margin block start and margin block end. Now if we inspect, look at it. Look at what is being written here. This card that follows, you see UL, color, font. Under margin, you see it's giving it a margin of 16 pixels. When you're having two values, is top, bottom, the first one, left, right, the second one. So look at, it's giving it a default margin of 16. It's not even giving it a default padding left of 40 pixels. So if you open this particular file on another browser, you'll be shocked, right, that it will give it another value. So okay, it's giving margin of 16 pixels here. Let me attempt to open it inside my Firefox. So I hope I'm not talking too much. So let's inspect and see. The margin is going to give for this. Now you can see that this one, okay, is still giving it the same margin, which is margin of 16, and then the same padding left, padding of 40. All right. So because of different browsers giving HTML file a default value, that's why our tutor now had to come and then include something like this. So this one is called a wildcat. All right. So wild, I don't know whether it's cat or card. I'm gonna go do research. Yes, go on. I was thinking somebody is raising up their hand.
No, don't worry. I'm putting what I wanted.
Okay. So that's why you see is doing something like this. In fact, some code they will add, they will not only do for margin, they will also do for padding, because as you can see, the two default value that was given was the margin 16 pixels and also a padding of 40. So some will not even do that of margin alone, they also do that of padding. And the reason is because if even if you don't do it, you still get to style whatsoever thing you want to do. But anything you are styling, most especially when that thing has to do with margin, it will always be implemented on top of the default margin that is being created. So as such, maybe there's a way you are expecting your styling to go that it won't go that way. Why? Simply because of that default margin that is 16 pixels. It's going to be adding on top of it instead of rewriting it. So that is one of the reasons, right? Obviously there might be other reasons. I don't I don't really know if you ask me. Yes. So any other question before we move forward? Okay. So who will go first? So let's do opposite of ladies first. Anthony, please go on.
Baba,
Yes.
now thank you for this explanation you just gave.
Yeah.
Now, this white cat,
Yes.
is it that it comes with that default margin of 0 other than the body itself? In class today, there was when the man used a body
Okay.
and he used the other idiom in class, he used that white cat.
Okay.
And I noticed that using that white cat, the margin is always 0.
Yes, yes. You are the
So
one.
is it that white cat,
Yes.
that white cat, the
Yes.
margin will always be 0, like if you change that. That's it. But if you use something, if you want change the margin, then
Yes.
you go use body. Is that what it means? Because I saw some differences with the one he did the other time and the one he did the other with the body on. So
Okay.
I want you to just help me clarify that.
Okay, good. Now, thank you for that question. So, this wild card you are seeing, right, is where they go like this. So, this wild card you are seeing, just like you say, we can decide to come and use body, because the wild card handles the page itself, and the page itself. Remember, what we are seeing in the page is a function of the body. Everything inside the body. So either you use wildcard or you use body, it will give you the same result. That's one. Then secondly, you are the one that will define whatsoever thing you want to define inside of it. Now if I decide to say, oh, I want a default margin of, let's say, 50, is for me to come here and then give it margin of 50. What I'm trying to say here is that apply this margin to the body itself. So anything I'm now adding to the body will always be influenced by this margin of 50, because this margin is not just what I applied it on the body, and every other thing that is visible on the page is coming into the body. So since it's coming into the body, it will be affected by this margin of 50. So but majority of the time, why they use this wildcard is to reset the margin to 0, so that they will know that any margin they are using on any class or any ID or any other tag apart from the body tag itself will carry that margin and all. Okay. I don't even read that way. I can supersede body if the value of the wildcard is different from the body. Okay, so now, sorry, thank God my roommate, now I have very good roommate, so he just corrected me now. He said that actually wildcard, in terms of superiority, that's hierarchy, wildcard is higher than body. So if we come and we declare something using wildcard, right, I will now declare the same thing using body, is going to take that of wildcard than body. So I don't know if you understand.
I do okay. No, like don't try.
Okay, you're welcome. So I think it's wildcard self, it's not card though. So I think Daniela, right? Any question? I think you raise up your hand, or you are raising up your hand. Okay, so let's move fast because our time is fast spent. So now we have this, and our target is to make it look like this. So just like I said, we have organized everything already. It's just for us to come and start styling and all of that. So first of all, we need to arrange these items to be just like in line with each other. Right now they are not in line with each other. We are having everything more like a list. We have logo first, write-ups second, button third, icons fourth. So but we need everything to be on the same straight line like this. So if you remember in class, all right, you'll find out that the man yesterday and even today, he made use of a property, a display property called flex, right? So now when we do, first of all, to use a display property, most especially the flex itself, is called a flex box, but the display this thing value for the display will be a flex. So to use a flex box, you have to visualize everything like a container. So you always apply the display flex to the container, all right, and also there are some properties that you can also apply to the container in order to influence how the items that are inside the container, how they behave. So what am I trying to say? Now I need image, write-ups, button and icons to all be on the same line. How can I achieve that? The only way I can achieve that is to make sure all these three are inside a container. Now obviously, thank God, they are not inside a container called nav. Obviously in our CSS we can decide to style our nav, but it's most at times advisable to always make use of class, then id when necessary, but make use of classes. So now in this our nav bar, which is the container holding everything that's in our navigation, we can decide to come and give it a class name of, we can call it nav container, because it's always good to use descriptive names, right? So we can decide to give it a class of nav container. So it means if we are styling, if we want to style this container now, we can target the class name nav container to style it. So if we come to our style.css, we can use .nav dash container, right? Of course, if you are styling a class, you always add dot at the beginning before the name of the class. If it's an id, okay, let me, so if it's a class, you start with dot then name. If it's an id, or let me use small letter. If it's an id, you start with this your pound sign, or is it hash sound they call, then followed by the name. Then if it's a tag, you don't need to start with anything, just the name of the tag. So these are the three major ones. All right, so back to our nav container. Now for our nav container, just like I say, what we are going to be using is called flexbox. Flexbox is easier, right, to arrange items using flexbox. Another one you can make use of is grid, right, but I don't know much of grid like that, grid, but you can check it out. I don't know much of grid, so but at least I understand flexbox to a particular extent. So to use flexbox now, we are going to have display, and this display now, okay, somebody else okay, so and this display will give it a value of flex. So property display value flex. So let's check our code whether any change has occurred. Now, do you guys observe something? Did anybody observe something? Now if I put this display flex off, you can see that they've gone back to their default position. Now once I activate the display flex, you can see that everything is now on the same horizontal line. So are we getting it? Any question? I hope say all of una know they sleep like this, as everybody just keep quiet.
No
I want to
question.
ask you,
Okay,
Gideon,
okay.
is nav not a tag? It's not a tag.
Yes, it's a tag.
Then now when you're explaining something now, you said if it's a tag,
Yes.
if it's can you go back to that thing that you commented
Okay.
on the CSS style? Now look at, you said if it's a class,
Yes.
we should use this. If it's a tag, we should use
Yes.
it. If it's an ID, we should use this.
Yes.
So I'm asking now, is now not a tag?
Yes, it's a
So why are
tag.
we using those?
Good. Now what we are using is nav container. Now if we go back to our code, you'll find out that despite the fact we have nav as a tag, we decide to give it a class called nav container. So now our target is the class itself, which is nav container. That's why here you can see that we are now using dot nav container. Why? Because nav container is a class, but the nav itself is a tag.
Okay, I understand.
Uh-huh. So any other question before we move? Okay. So now we have flex, but if you look at what we have here, you see everything is more like jam packed. You see we have right up, and but that's not how it looks here. Here everything there's space, all right, between this this logo and this logo. Is somebody saying something? Hmm? Okay. So now let's now look how can we space all these things. So let's go back to our code, to our CSS file. Now there's a property that once you activate display flex, immediately you have access to that property. It's called justify content. Now this justify content, there are different values. There's center, there's baseline, first line, flex end, flex start. You can go and check all those ones yourself, but the one that I'm interested in is space around, space between, space evenly, anything space. So let's start with space around and see what we are going to have. All right, so I'm going to use space around. Now let's look at our code. It's as if I'm going to add this thing self, sorry, so that we'll have this one there. So good. Now what do you observe? You see that we now have space in between each of the items, right? But this is not really what we want per se. We needed these write-ups, this button and this icon to be in one place, which is by the right, just like what we have here, right? Everything here is like by the right. That's why the fact each of them they have space in between, like little space. But this one is on its own by the left, this one is on its own by the right. So this is actually what we are looking for to, right? Now coming back to what we have here, you can see that this one is like, it's as though the space is between all of them. Now who can tell me the reason why we have this kind of behavior from looking at the arrangement of our HTML? So why do we have something like this? You can use this to visualize, just visualize what we have here so far.
Okay, go back to the last page.
Okay,
Let's see now.
okay, so I'll come back here. This is the page, or do you mean the code?
Here is okay.
Now what we'll do, let's inspect, right? Now this is the navigation bar, all right? So we'll click on it. Now let's check something. Now if you observe, you'll find out that in this navigation bar is more like we are having, obviously is carrying like 4 containers, which is the logo itself, these write-ups, this get started, and these 2 icons as one. So what we would have done based on what we are having here is that to get something like this, what we would have done is that we would have gotten a container that will house all these things that are by the right. So if we get a container that house all these things by the right, it hold them as one. By the time we apply that our justify content, it's going to give us this space, and then all these ones would have been together than what we just did. What we just did is that we created how many separate container? 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that's why it's treating them that way. Based on our code, it's treating them like 4 different containers. That's why if we check using this inspect, you'll find out that it highlights the logo, it highlights template document support, it highlights get started, and it also highlights these icons. So I don't know if anybody is getting what I'm saying. Now that does not mean we cannot still have our way, find our way around all of this using CSS. We can still find our way around it to bring all these ones together, and then we now have the space we need in between them. But the goal, the whole goal, or the goal of all of this is that you make sure your HTML is so structured that you need to write less of CSS to achieve whatsoever thing you want to achieve. So that is just the whole idea or the whole goal. So now what we are going to do is that apart from this logo now, for the rest of the items by the right, we are going to create a container, a separate container for them. So in this case, we can decide to use div. Wow, it's dialog again. We can decide to use div, and then we'll bring from this place to this place, we'll bring it inside of the div, right? So now all of them are now inside a single container. So let's go back and check. So now do you see what we are getting now? So you can see that we are now more closer to having this. Where is it? To having something like this, logo by the left, the rest by the right, than the other one that we had before. So I don't know, does anybody have any question at this point before we move? So everybody is quiet like this.
No question. No, we are good to go. We are
Okay.
good. We are good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So now, if you look at, we now have to. I wanted to say battle against Armageddon. Please, it's not Armageddon. So we now have another battle here. What is the battle? Template documentation support are having a style. That's this marker here. All right. We need to remove that. Then we also need to make all of them too to be on the horizontal line, because looking at what we have here, the template we are following, everything here is on the horizontal line, but here now it's more like everything is on the vertical. So for this one, we need to first remove this style. Obviously, if you ask me right now, I've forgotten the name of this style, what this dot is, the name. So what I can do, I can use this my inspect to come and check to know which style is that. So they are not even giving me the style itself. I can't even see it. Okay, look at it here. They say it inherits from the list. So what does it inherit? List style type. And list style type is what? Is disk. So now I want to do away with it. I'll just go to my CSS file, and then obviously what I want to target is that I want to target this one, this unordered list that's carrying all of this list. But just like I said, it's always good to make use of class instead of tag. Why? Because imagine we now use tag ul to do it, and then somewhere in our code we are still using ul. Now that style that we now apply will now affect even the ul that we don't mean to touch. So that's why it's good in this case we just create a class, a special class for it. So now we can decide to name this one nav text container, because that's this div, this ul is actually a container for all of these lists that are text, right? So now since it's a class, I'll come to my CSS and target it dot nav text container, right? And what do we have list style, right? So list style now we can give it none. So let's check, let's confirm. So you can see now we no longer have all those dots again. So that is 1. 2, just like how we handle this nav bar, if we go back to our index.html, you see that this ul, just like we say, is a container for all of this list. So to make all these lists to be on the horizontal, we can come to our style.css. In the container of the list, we'll now also give it a display of what? Of flex. So you can see that all of them are now on the same straight line. All right, of course you see that there's no gap between them. So if you remember, there's also a property the man used, was it yesterday or the before yesterday, called gap. So let's use that property to give them gap. So let's give them a gap of 10 pixels. I hope 10 pixels will not be too much. Okay, I think is a little bit fair. Okay, let's give it 20 then. Let's add 20 then. Yeah, so 20, I think 20 is fair. Now the next thing we need is that this get started and this globe, they also need to be on the same line with templates, documentation and support. But here they are not on the same line. So let's check, is there a container housing all of these elements together? If there is, that means we'll stand a chance. So going back to our code now, our index.html, do we have a container that house this, the write-up, the button and the icons? Yes, we have, which is what? This div here. So now this div, let's give it a class. Now which class? What should we call the class of this? We can call it nav left right, because this is actually right, not left. So nav right container. So just like I said, you can name it anything. In fact, you can decide to use your name if you want, but it's always best to use a descriptive name, a name that when somebody sees it, like he'll be able to picture, okay, it's as if this guy is trying to touch this particular area, something like that. So nav right container, because in our navigation all these ones are actually by the right, while the logo itself is by the left. So now we are going to target this nav right container. So coming here, dot nav, what am I doing? Nav right container, and then of course display, we have to use flex as well. So we'll now come back. Now what do you see? You find out that we now have everything on the same straight line. So but support, get started and the icons, you can see that there's no space between them, so we need to give them space. So to give them space, just like I said, you can also use gap. So gap now, we can give it, let's give it okay, let's say 15 pixels. I think 20 is looking a little bit weird, so let's use 15. I think 15 is fair. Okay, yeah, so I think we have this now. The icons, let me see what we have here. They are a little bit close. Well, we can still decide to do something about the icons if we want. It's just, if we want to space them more, we can still do something about it, because all of them, they have the same container. If we come back to our code here, our index.html, look at both the globe and the search, they're under this div. So we can decide to give it a class. That's in the situation where we want to target it, and then give it probably nav right icon. Now nav right icon, either icons or icon, anyone. And then so let's see, so let's target dot nav right icon, and then let's say gap, right? Gap of what? Let's say gap of 10. Let's see if it's going to work. So did it work? Yes, it worked, but the only issue is that it only worked with respect to this button here. So for now, let's leave it this way. But let's see, so let's target, let me see if this will work. I don't know if it's going to work, but let's see. Let's say image of class So img dot nav right icon. I don't know if it's going to work. It still did not work. So for now, let's leave it. Let's not waste time on it. So what do we have? Okay, so I think we now have something that looks like this, but it's not still it. It just looks like it, but it's not still it. So who can tell me, what do you think is off here from what you are seeing? Just observe this. Look at our logo, right? Look at the space that's around the logo, and then come here, look at this one that's by the right, and look at the space around it. So is there anything off? Nobody wants to say anything.
I think the spacing. I don't know. Let me see the HTML code for the styling.
Okay.
I think the spacing is too much. Maybe let's check the justified content or maybe the alignment.
Good. Now if you observe what we have here, you see that the logo here, it has a space at the top, but all these ones, they don't really have any space at the top. So it's like these other ones are not aligned properly with this logo horizontally. They are not on the same line. If you should carry like a straight ruler and measure, you find out that they are not on the same line. So for things like this, there's a property of flex, right? Now what we are targeting is the entire container that is housing everything here, and the entire container housing everything is the nav container. So there's a property called align items, and then it has many values: baseline, center, end, flex. You can go and try the rest, but our target here is to make sure all the items are aligned at the center. That's why I see the properties align items. So it's more like you are saying, in this particular container we are in, make sure you align all the items in the container and make them center, like center them, let the alignment be at the center. So now let's get back to our code and see, do we need to save? I don't think we need to save now. Yeah, I don't think we need to save. So what do we have? We still have this. So what is wrong?
For the justified content, can you try maybe space between?
Okay, for space between now, it's going to push everything at the extreme end like this. Yeah, so that's what space between is. It will push everything at the extreme end. So
And I think that's needed.
you say,
They are meant to be adjustment. I think that's what we are doing. They are meant to be adjustment.
really? Look at what we have here.
Yes.
But you're actually correct, because if you look at the space we are having here is not much, all right, which we can use margin to actually give it a little bit of space if you want. So should we use margin to give it this space, or we should just use space around and everybody is happy?
Anyone? I think let's try margin first. Will margin work? Space around it can work too. I think for that space around, is there no need for us to still create more like a separate container for the logo at the extreme edge to be able to, adjust and ensure they are also like this?
Okay. So now, if we are using margin, let's try margin and see. So in this same container, let's give it a margin, and then this margin now, our goal is not even the top or bottom. Our goal is the left and the right. So if we come now, we'll give it margin, for top and bottom 0, while for left and right, let's start with, let's say 30 pixels and see if it's going to work. Okay, so I think it worked. So do you think 30 is enough? Is this space here enough, or should we add? So like
I think it's okay for me. Or how is it looking like? I think it's
look at what we have here. Okay, yeah, because if you look at what we have here, look at the space here too, and then you look at what we now have on our own. So I think 30 is okay. So I was talking about the box. I talked about the box model yesterday, right? So in the box model, you have content, you have your padding, you have your border, and you also have your margin. All right, so anything margin d is with respect to the page you are in, this particular page you are in. Content is simply the space. Okay, good, let me even inspect this. Now if we click on this, all right, let me see if this good. Now you can see the properties. What you are seeing here, that's the space where this particular logo is occupying, is this innermost part. That's what is called the content. Now the padding, anytime you apply padding, what you are doing is that you are adding the space of that. It's more like you are adding on the content, the normal size of the content, you are adding space to it. And you can decide to add at the top, core padding top, at the right, core padding right, the bottom, core padding bottom, or the left, core padding left, or you can even apply all. So for instance, if we come here, let's say we apply 30 pixels, you can see what is going to happen is that it will apply and add 30. This one is just at the top, so that's why you see it now added on top of the content. This is the normal content size. On top of it, it now added a padding of 30 at the top. And if you are to add for right too, it's the same thing. It's just that it might not show at this point. It will show here, but it might not be as visible as the margin top. Why is it that that of the right is not visible until we come here? It's due to the fact that there's already space by the right of the logo already. It's just that that space is not of padding until we now come and add the padding. You understand? So that's the same thing with padding left and padding bottom. So that's padding for you. Now border is being added on top of padding. So if we come here and let's say we now add a border of 50. Wait, oh, is it that this thing is warning us? 15 minutes though. Let's rush. Right? So a border, let's say border of 30. Why is it that this border don't want to show? Our border don't want to show. We have to go and activate border first before the thing will not show. So now I don't know why the border doesn't want to show, but if we come to this place, where's our this thing element? Now if we add border, let's say border, and then this border, now we say solid black, and then let's say 30 pixels, right? Good. So you can see that border is added on top of your padding, because look at, coming back here, you see that we already add padding of 29, and then we are now having the border which is now added on top of the padding. Then the margin, just like I say, is always with respect to the page itself. So when we come to this margin, if we decide to add margin top of like 70, right, you can see that is now added on top of the border. So always have this at the back of your mind. You have your content, you have your padding which is being added to the content, you have your border which is being added on top of the padding. If there's no padding, of course your border will come immediately after your content. If there's padding, your border comes immediately on top of your padding, and then your margin is that element with respect to the position of that element with respect to your page. So hope you guys understand the box model, like on an average what it is. So let's,
Yeah, we're trying.
yeah, okay, so let's try and finish up just this navigation bar so that everybody can go and rest, and then probably tomorrow we'll finish it up and then start kickstart JavaScript if possible. Okay, so now for this one, let's go back to our code and then check. Now we have these ones grouped together, no issue with this. We have this button, and also we have this class holding the navigation bar. So let's go and inspect our website and see what is actually causing this one, that we apply justify doesn't want to work or is not working. So let's see. I want to pick the container holding all of them. I was thinking there's a container that holds all of these together, and it's not showing here. Hope I did not make any mistake. So we have ul, we have button, and we have class. Good. So the container holding all of them is navwrite container. So let's go to our navwrite container, and then in this navwrite container, let's apply this same style that says what? Align items center and C. All right. So we have align. Is it align? I don't know why this one is not coming up. Align items center. So let's see. Now, did it work or not? Now you can see that unlike before now, everything now is now at the center. If you look at what we have here, templates, documentation, support, they are the center of this button. Obviously, this button is bigger than them. That's why I see there's less space here. And then also our icon here. But looking at our icon is not still at the center. So it means we have to now still apply that align item center to the container of the icon. So let's check our icon. I think this is it, navwrite icon, and then let's apply the align item center to it and see what we have. So it still did not work. So what is actually wrong here? What is wrong? What is wrong? What is wrong? Okay, let me see. Let's go back to our index.html and let's observe something. So this one has a class navwrite icon, then we have button, then we have this. So what is wrong here?
What are you trying to change?
Okay, this is it. Now if you look at all of this, now everything here is centered horizontally, but if you look at these two icons, they are not centered with the rest. Look at it. I don't think they are centered like the rest. So I'm trying to center these two icons.
Which one, the search icon?
Yes, both the search and then the globe icon. So let's see. Let's check the height.
Our HTML. Okay, navwrite icon.
So let's adjust the size first and see if we have anything positive. So instead of 25, let's make it 20 for both of them. 20 and then 20. Okay, I think it's a little bit better, but still it's not looking centralized. So
How do you guys used to know if something centralized or not?
look at
I'm
it
not
now.
seeing.
Are you serious? Look at it now. Wait, let me.
Everything is centralized.
Eh.
I don't know.
Okay. No problem. Maybe it's my eye, but from what I'm seeing here, if you look at this container now, look at it. Look how it looks. You find out that this one is at the top, but another way we can still use margin for them if we want to, and we can decide to use margin for them. So CSS is to style until you get what you want. So let's try to use margin, and this time around I'm using margin top. So let me see if margin top will work, and then let me give it 5 pixels because I just need a little bit of space, right? So I think now is better. Yeah, I think now is better. So any question? I think we have come to the end. Our Google link will still even stop, so that everybody will go and rest. Here's our link. So any question? Okay, sorry. Okay, go on, Augustine.
Okay, well done, Mr. Gideon.
Thank you,
So
boss.
I want to ask him that I hope we'll be getting this code so that one can go through it personally and actually try to check it out.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yes. So thank you, Augustine. So any other question? So we are done with our navigation bar. You can see at least. So the assignment me I'll give you people. You see our button. You see the way this button is different from what we are having here. So I want you to go and touch the button, make style it to look exactly like this. Number one, remove this button border, this border that is looking black, remove it. Number two, color it green. Number three, make the border here circular. You see the way the border is more like a kind of circular, so I want you to do that also. And then your template, you can see our template is like on being underlined, and we have something like this, more like a drop down. So these are the things I want you to go and add on your own. All right, so are there any question before our link will finally shut down? How many minutes left? Okay, 7. So any question? Okay, so at least I believe everybody understands.
No question, no boss. Thank you, sir.
Okay, you are welcome. So I'll zip the
Yes. Thank
folder
you.
with all the files and everything, and then send it to the group.